dreaming now. How's this? Tachi Uchiha says hello. Hello. Ibu says I joined and left since you can read with no headset. It's alright. I'm a bit anxious, guys. So, Saving Tobey, Chapter 2. Young says, hey, hello. Saving Tobey, Chapter 2. Recondite. Recondite is defined as dealing with a very profound, difficult, or abstruse subject matter. The narrator began. Are you sure about this? Your plan sounds a bit dangerous, if you ask me, said the narrator, sounding a bit worried. Captain Huggyface squealed in agreement from his perch on Wordgirl's back as she flew high above the city. I'll admit, it's risky, Wordgirl explained, soaring decidedly forward with a single-minded purpose. But I have to take the chance. The city's future is at stake. She had spent a restless night brooding over what kind of evil Tobey would be capable of in the future if his development as a villain was left unchecked. And the imaginations her troubled mind had conjured up were more than a little unsettling. She saw him 10 years from now as a mad scientist, unlike the city's resident cheese-loving supervillain, only more destructive and with a far less simple obsession. Hi, Warren and Tanas. Dr. Two-Brains without his weaknesses. It was a frightening thought, but it reminded her of the reason she was seeking out the double-minded professor right now. He and Tobey had a lot in common. If anyone could help her out on what to do about Tobey, it was Dr. Two-Brains. The villain's evil lair came into view, and Wordgirl began her descent, adding with a salute, Wish me luck. I think you'll need more than just luck, the narrator muttered, but it gracefully went quiet as Wordgirl blazed. Can you guys hear my AC going off right now? Will 1 says, hello, I'm at work. Hope you're having a good day at work. Will says, it's very faint. Young says, no. I'm gonna go to nerd. It's fine. Bob. Let me put this on Do Not Disturb. Okay. That'd be good. Let me move the mic to a much more comfortable position. Yep. Is the mic doing okay right here? Ivuero says, Lala via audio, Toady? Wordgirl blazed into the rundown warehouse through an open window. Inside, she immediately recognized the white column of lab coats, topped with an explosion of matching hair, hunched over a dilapidated workbench, muttering to himself. He suddenly straightened, still facing away from her, brandishing a colorful gizmo that looked like a high-tech squirt gun. Eureka! He shouted. My desalination ray is complete. Now I just needed to test on one of the fish crackers from my aquarium heist. Excuse me. Wordgirl interrupted, floating toward him into the light as her sidekick tensed on her shoulders. Wordgirl! He spun around to face her, striking up a battle pose and a matching sinister smile. Well, this is a surprise. I wasn't expecting to run into you again until I surfaced for another cheese crime. Well, what the heck? I wouldn't mind a redo of the last battle. Actually, I am guard, Wordgirl! Two-Brains shouted, interrupting her this time as he brandished his ray gun. You're about to become chronically dehydrated. He fired several times at Wordgirl, zipping around the warehouse, avoiding the blast until she was finally able to scream out, "Wait! I'm not here to battle you!" Andrew says, "Hey, Xelia. Hello." OG says, "Hey. Hi." Andrew says, "Just wanted to stop by and say hi before I hang out with a friend. Appreciate seeing you, Andrew." Andrew says, "Hope you're doing good." "I'm doing better, and I'm grateful. Appreciate you for asking." The villain halted, his maniacal grin turning into a look of confused disappointment. "You're not here to battle me?" "I came to ask you about what you said earlier about Tobey." "You're still on about that? Oh my god," the doctor groaned, childishly dangling his arms to show his frustration. "Forget it, Word Girl. I'm not your personal villain consultant. Now either fight me or get out of here." He pointed his little ironic weapon at her, charging it up. Word Girl said, "Wait!" begging. "Can we please talk about this for just a few minutes and then fight? Please?" She beseechingly clasped her hands together in front of her, blinked a few times, trying to look as cute as possible. I can't do that, but like, my lap, it's gonna fall. Hold on. There we go. Andrew says, "I wish I could stay longer." "There's always next time, Andrew. I can always see you again." Thor B24, appreciate the follow. Together with Nick says, "Hey, hello." Continuation. She beseechingly clasped her hands together in front of her, blinking a few times, trying to look as cute as possible. Dr. Two-Brains raised an eyebrow at her, but instead of attacking again, he just sighed. "Oh, so if I help you figure out this Tobey thing, you'll finally drop it and focus on your battle with me?" Wiggle smiled eagerly and said, "Yes, I promise." Together with Nick says, "You should read my Vampire System awesome book. You can add me down below in one of my videos, and I'll add it to my book list." Captain Huggyface moaned in relief. Dr. Two-Brains gestured with his ray gun at the cheese couch across the room. "All right, have a seat." Wordgirl geared herself up on high alert and lowered herself onto the comfortable, albeit odd-smelling cushions. Huggy dismounted, plopped down beside her, and glancing around suspiciously, or perhaps hungrily. Wordgirl fidgeted a little, then, as casually as possible, she said, "So, where are your henchmen?" "Out to lunch," the doctor explained as he sat down next to her. "Said they wanted to eat something besides cheese." He frowned incredulously at the concept. It was unfathomable to him. Then sighed, looked into Wordgirl's eyes, and spoke. "Okay, so you want to keep Tobey from growing up to be the worst supervillain the city's ever seen, right?" "Right," Wordgirl nodded. "Is that possible?" "Sure, it's completely possible," Dr. Two-Brains muttered with a shrug. "He's a kid. It's not like his future's set in stone." Wordgirl's heart lifted with hope. "So what can I do?" "Well, you can stop enabling him, for starters." "Enabling him?" She crossed her arms and gave a sharp frown. "I don't enable Tobey." The doctor raised an eyebrow at her. "You know what enable means, right?" "Of course," she said, sticking her finger in the air. She confidently defined, "It means to give someone the power or ability to do something. So how can you say that I'm enabling Tobey? I'm the one stopping him most of the time." Uh, you're also the one rewarding him for all his bad behavior." She blinked at him, bewildered. "What?" Two-Brains sighed and rolled his eyes. "What girl, what would you say if I told you that Toby's won every battle you've ever shown up to?" "I'd say you're crazy. That's what I'd say." Dr. Two-Brains gave a bashful smile and said, "Well, I am a mad scientist. But seriously, think about it. What is Tobey after, when he wrecks the city. Wordgirl paused to think for a moment. Well, sometimes he's just mad about something. What about the rest of the time? She paused again. The rest of the time? Reluctantly, she raked over her memories of her battles with Tobey, forcing herself to ignore all the anger and frustration on her end and instead focus on what Tobey had actually been after. This was the only one area where Tobey and Dr. Two Brains were actually polar opposites. While Dr. Two Brains only ever wanted one thing and came up with endless colorful ways to get it, Tobey had a single means of achieving a variety of goals. He used his robots to attack buildings, to win contests, to play dangerous, large scale games. How could she expect to pin down his core motivation when it was always something different? Mm. Hold on, guys. My dad called. My dad called. Okay. I had to call my dad really quick. OG's is invested. I hope so. I really like the story, and I'm so glad you guys are also enjoying the story. He used his robots to attack buildings, to win contests, to play dangerous, large scale games. How could she expect to pin down his core motivation when it was always something different? Hold on. Was it always different? Digging a little deeper, she honed in on the reason Tobey had done those things and realized the obvious common denominator. He once threatened to destroy the library in order to lure her into battle. He once ordered his robots to attack 4 different buildings in one day to force her to play a riddle game with him. Why? Once he even set up the 12 stationary robots across the city like pieces on a game board as a part of an elaborate plan to expose her secret identity. In a tone laced with befuddled realization, Virgil slowly muttered, I guess it's usually because of me that Toby does these things. Ding ding ding! We have a winner! Dr. Tubrain sang, gesturing with his hand like he was ringing a bell. He likes fighting with you. So, when you show up to fight, you're getting the idea in his head, his 12-year-old brain, that destroying the city will help him get exactly what he wants from you. You're enabling him. Honestly, Word Girl, this is basic psychology. You know what psychology is, don't you? Word Girl's face scrunched in a offended frown. Of course I know. Psychology is the study of... Mm, you don't have to define it. I know what psychology means. Out of nowhere, the narrator inserted, Yeah, but the kids at home might not. Well, they can go ask their parents, Dr. Tubin snapped irritably. Psychology was not on today's word list. Look, word girl, if you want to get a chance of doing anything about Toby, you're going to have to get your head around what's going on in his head. Word girl looked forward and cupped her hand to whisper. That's what psychology means? Nice one, the narrator whispered back. No says, Sup, y'all? I'm just sitting in the corner. Will says, silently enjoying. Young says, I love your voice. I appreciate you guys being here. Thank you. Turning her attention back to her personal villain consultant, Wordgirl puzzled on. But why would he go through all that trouble just to fight me when he knows I'm going to destroy all his robots? Because he likes you. Two Brains paused, then quickly added, You know he likes you, right? Of course. Good. I would have lost all respect for your intelligence if you didn't know that. But I mean, but still, I mean, Tobey loves his robots. He pours hundreds of hours into building them and rebuilding them. Why would he throw all of that away just to get me to fight with him? Let me put it to you like this, the mad scientist says, putting his hands together in front of him, so that they only touch their fingertips. Why do I go to so much trouble to get cheese, even though it gets me thrown into jail every time? Wordgirl didn't have to think too hard about that one. Because you love cheese more than anything. Exactly, he pointed out, smiling victoriously. I care more about the cheese than I care about freedom, so I'll sacrifice my freedom for cheese. And that's exactly the way it is for Tobey. He'll sacrifice his robots for you because he cares more about you than his robots. You, my dear, are his main cheese. Wordgirl blinked, caught dumbstruck somewhere between confused, disgusted, and flattered. Tobey cared more about her than his robots? That was sort of maybe just a little bit sweet. In a weird, annoying way. Why can't he just be a normal kind of way? She took a long breath once more, trying to straighten out the tangled mess of thoughts that Dr. Two-Brain's bizarre analogy had left her, and asked in a perplexed tone. So what you're saying is, I'm cheese? You're about to be. Yeah, Dr. Two-Brain said with a snide smile, pointing his ray at her. Wordgirl threw up her hands in panic, waving them forbiddingly in front of him and yelling, Wait, I'm not finished yet! Oh, come on, Wordgirl. You ruined my perfect transition back into battle. Would have been more perfect. It was actually a cheese ray, inserted the narrator. Mind your own cheese wax, Dr. Two-Brains snidely called out to the narrator. Just give me a couple more minutes, Wordgirl pleaded, clasping her hands girlishly in front of her, making her best puppy dog face. Please? I don't know if I can do that, guys, but let's say, please? Ugh, Two-Brains groaned at the roll of his bloodshot eyes. Fine. He dropped his ray in his lap, crossed his arms, showing his nemesis a disgruntled frown, and he relinquished the floor once more. Wordgirl took a deep breath to buy time until she figured out how to present her conundrum, then carefully explained. I understand what you're saying, but if I'm enabling Tobey by fighting him, then what am I supposed to do? I can't just not fight him. Sure you can. Just don't show up. But I can't just let him destroy the city. So call his mom. Let her deal with it. No offense, kid. But she does a better job than you anyway. Vertigo blinked, making herself blush off his insult in light of how true it is. Could it really be that simple? Okay, she said, struggling to collect her scattered thoughts and sort them through in her head at the same time. So when he attacks the city, I just call his mom and then ignore him? Will that really make him stop being a villain? Probably not, said Dr. Two-Brains unhelpfully. Wardle groaned, and here she was starting to think they were getting somewhere. Clenching her fist in annoyance, she angrily blasted, So what's the point? Ignoring him is just part of keeping him from getting worse. Two-Brains explained, If you want him to actually change, you have to pay attention to him. But you just said I should ignore him. When he's wrecking the city, you ignore him. He repeated as though his meaning should be obvious. You need to pay attention to him when he's not wrecking the city. Wordgirl tensed, then shuddered. She could think of a few less things. She could think of things less appealing to her than spending her free time hanging out with Tobey. But how is that a little extra attention going to make him not want to be evil anymore? Hey, why do you think you came to me about this, Wordgirl? Dr. Two-Brains grumbled, pointing at himself with a thumb. I was a boy genius once too, you know. I understand how this kid thinks. He's brilliant. He's misunderstood. He needs to be validated. In fact, I'd bet my left brain that's exactly why he's always causing trouble. He wants someone to recognize what he can do, even if they'd hate him for it. The pink-eyed villain smiled suddenly, staring off his face when he went on. I remember once when I was a kid, my mother was too busy cooking to look at the thermal modulator I had built. So I used it to zap fry the casserole she was making before it even got in the oven. Turned into a lump of coal, instantly. He chuckled in the most classic way people would in remembrance of their first bicycle ride, and gave a nostalgic sigh. Sigh. Classic. Wow, Wordgirl muttered in surprise. You did that! Sure did. And that was before the mouse brain, mind you. All kids need attention, Wordgirl. And I shouldn't have to tell you that smart kids need special attention. How would you feel if no one acknowledged your words unless you used them against people? Wordgirl was caught speechless at that question. The very thought of it was painful. Oh, wow. I never thought of it like that. It would be horrible. Well, there you have it. Be nice to him when he's good, ignore him when he's bad. Problem solved. Now, if there's nothing else you want to discuss, he pointed his ray gun at her, ending the conversation with a single decisive blast. Wordgirl flashed out of the way just in time, and their battle resumed. After dodging a few well-aimed shots that nearly turned her into a raisin, she shouted, "Huggy, now!" Her sidekick pounced on Dr. Two-Brains from behind, and the two of them began tottering around in a spastic mess of screams and flailing arms. The young heroine seized her chance and snatched the dehydration ray, as it should have been called, away from the mouse-brain villain. After she smashed it against her knee, she zipped around the room in a whirlwind that left Dr. Two-Brains tied up and Captain Huggyface once more perched safely on her back. The mad scientist shook the dazed look from his face, then smiled as he announced, "Now that's more like it." For once, Wordgirl didn't bother to come up with a cheesy retort about how he was going to jail. As soon as the thrill of battle had ended, her thoughts had immediately turned back to the conversation she had not yet the chance to brood over. The advice Dr. Two-Brains had given her was simple and sensible, yet she wondered if she actually had it in her to do it. With a flustered sigh, she made her decision. For the sake of the city, perhaps even the world, she had to try. End chapter. End chapter quote. Folly is bound in the heart of a child, but the rod of discipline would drive it far away. Chapter 3 will be read next time. No says you got it. Yunjo says the lighting though. Will says have to go, but have a good night and stream. Good night, Will. See you later. See you next time. So that is the reading for Saving Toby for today. Then I'll be going back to my Stardew Valley gameplay. I hope to see you guys there. You guys can see me set up for the live stream. I am tired. I want huggies. Ooh. OG says live on Twitch. OG says hug. Young says hug. Now I'm gonna be going live on TikTok. I don't make any money off of Twitch, so I'm staying on TikTok for the time being until I can start getting money. Okay. Oh my gosh. Oh, I'm sleepy. Oh, I'm tired, guys. I just want to go bed. I might just do a sleep stream, to be honest. Oh. It says you can connect your PayPal to Twitch, and they can donate to you. Oh, can you help me figure out how to do that? boys. Ibu says, "Oh, my first message didn't go through. Dang. Feeling straight about it. I wish I could use my phone camera on my TikTok. Because my phone camera is so much nicer. You can actually see the colors. Mm. Uh, Who's this? Oh, it's cute too. Hi, cute blue. That's the latest. Okay, I'm gonna end the live stream.